I don't want to have kids. Bruv, no woman wants you in the first place anyway. No woman wants you, bruv. Why are you chatting and capping out here? Nobody wants you. You're a loser.
I think of marriage is a certain thing, which is the context for procreation, for the building of the nuclear family.
What about people that get married that don't have kids? Are you opposed to that? What if they get married, they decide, you know what, we don't need kids. I'm going to get fixed. You get your tubes tied. Let's travel the world.
Well, what do you mean am I opposed to it? I mean, I think that every married couple should be open to life.
But what if they don't want to? Are you opposed to them being married? If marriage is only for procreation and to bond a family together, what about people that are deeply in love that never want to have children?
I don't think it's not only procreation, but that is one of the fundamental definitional aspects of it.
Okay. First of all, I don't know if Rogan is being a bigot for the sake of it here. Okay. But what if somebody doesn't want to have children? What if a couple doesn't want to have children? Okay. What if a 55-year-old woman is able to conceive? What if I win the lottery? This is what-ifism. Most normal functioning human beings want to procreate and pass on their legacy, want to see themselves duplicated in the form of their children. This is a natural feeling that most normal functioning human beings have. Okay, maybe some people, a tiny minority of people, don't want to do that. Okay, fine. But we don't make a rule to cater for the minority. We make a rule that must be able to cater for the majority. And the majority of individuals want to have children. Putting Islam to the side now. Let's not bring religion into this. To raise children in a healthy, functional state, the research is categorical and clear on this. Children are best raised in a nuclear home where mum and dad are together. What is the best way to bond mum and dad together? Through marriage, through a commitment. Remember, marriage, I'm putting Islam to the side. I know I'm a Muslim and there are religious reasons for why we have marriage. But let's put that to the side for one moment. Marriage is not for me and it's not for my wife. It's not for you and it's not for your wife. It's not for you and it's not for your husband. It's for the children. It's to create a bond between you so that you can increase the chances of raising healthy, functional human beings into this world. Bringing healthy, normal functioning, psychologically well put together human beings into this world. Children who are raised in broken homes, particularly single mother homes, that's a whole nother discussion that we can get into another day, and indeed I've already covered it many times in the past, are at a massive disadvantage to children raised in a nuclear home. So to make this argument, it's just like you're being a bigot for the sake of it, Rogan. You're being an idiot for the sake of it. You're married and you've got kids yourself, bruv. Okay, what if? I get it, what if? But what if I win the lottery? And what if this and what if that? And by the way, I'll take it one step further. I really believe a man or a woman who doesn't want children, either there's something wrong with him or he is coping. In the case of men, it's a cope. I don't want to have kids. Bruv, no woman wants you in the first place anyway. No woman wants you, bruv. Why are you chatting and capping out here? Nobody wants you. You're a loser. I don't want to have kids anyway. Shut up. You're a loser. Nobody wanted you in the first place. Now you're coping. Or the other side of the coin is there's something wrong with you. There has to be some type of cognitive dysfunction. Cognitive malfunction. Some virus has entered some malware, some virus has entered the software and has infected you in some way, shape or form. It's not normal to be this way.
Of course, there's more to marriage just than that.
And what about people that are infertile? They fall in love and they realize that they can have babies and they don't really necessarily want to adopt. Is that okay for them to be married? Because then by definition, marriage falls into a completely different thing, because then it's a bond of love. It's a union of love.
Once again, we are using extreme examples. What about people who are infertile? Okay, let's run with that. Every single society that has experienced a degradation, a rapid degradation in its morals and values is a society that has open promiscuity. is a society where sex is easy with anyone and everyone. Every society that has eventually crumbled and been brought down to its knees is a nation that is rife with promiscuity. So let's say you are infertile. Let's say you've got a couple of screws loose and you don't want to have children. There's something wrong with you, but we need to talk about you anyway. Well, then you still need to get married. And again, I'm still not tying religion into it yet. Why? Because a society that promotes and practices open promiscuity is a society that is on a ticking time bomb. It's a ticking time bomb before said society is brought to its knees, as we can see in real time here in the West right now.
Sure. I mean, that doesn't change the nature of marriage, though. It's a little bit like I say that what's the definition of a woman? Well, a woman is someone who by her nature can conceive children in her womb and bear children. And then the response is always, well, what about women who are infertile? Does that destroy your definition of woman? And it doesn't, because it's still a woman's nature to bear children. Not every woman will, and there will be disease and infertility and old age and all these things that will preclude that, but it's still of her nature to do so. And I would say the same thing for marriage. I mean, it is natural in a marriage for procreation to occur. It's not always going to happen in reality, though, but that's still one of the natural functions of marriage. And married couples who can't conceive children, there are other ways to be parents, like adoption, for example.
If they want to. Right. Sure. But if people want to be married and don't want to ever have children, are you opposed to them being married?
Well, I wouldn't advocate a law that would prevent it.
But would it change the definition of what their marriage is to you because they don't want to have a family? They just want to have a loving bond?
I think this would be a couple that is rejecting one of the fundamental aspects of marriage, and that they should be open to life. I would hope that in the future they would be, but
isn't that just a personal choice? I mean, you can have a very fulfilling life if you just follow your pursuits and your dreams and your interests, and you find someone that shares those interests with you and you share time together. It's very fulfilling and loving.
I got one question for you, Joe. How do you know? This is why I really believe either you're being a bigot for the sake of it, or you're playing devil's advocate just to make for an entertaining discussion. And indeed, this video has over 56,000 comments, all right, over 3 million views. Go and speak to a woman who is extremely successful in her career and is 50 plus and doesn't have children. Go and speak to her. You know what the most miserable demographic of woman is in the United States of America right now? It's a woman in her mid-40s earning over $100,000 a year. That is the most miserable demographic of women in the United States right now. There are few things in life that are more fulfilling, as annoying as kids can be sometimes, and believe me, they can be annoying, but there are few things that are more fulfilling than seeing yourself duplicated and replicated in a new form. Because it's not exactly you, and it's not exactly not you. It's this mesh between you and your wife. It's something that cannot be explained with words. It's an experience you have to experience for yourself. And more than anything, most people, if given the opportunity, or indeed many, they'd love to live forever. They'd love to live for as long as possible. We cling on to this world for as long as possible. We cling on to our youth. We cling on to our beauty. We cling on and cling on and cling on. And if we could live for longer, we would. One way that your genes are able to remain on this planet is through your children. And again, I'm still not bringing religion into it. I'm still not bringing Islam into it. I'm still not talking about the fact that if you have a righteous son or a righteous daughter who continues to make dua after you have died, this will count as reward in your book, on Yawm al-Qiyamah, on the Day of Judgment. You will be rewarded for this. I'm not even bringing those things. I'm sticking to the human things that everyone can relate to regardless of your religion. This is one way with which you can continue your legacy. Why would you not want to do that? Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's because you believe you're such a loser that your genes don't deserve to be replicated. Either that, or you are supremely selfish. I want to have experiences around the world. Me. This is why we have a massive birthed a depopulation crisis in the West. Elon Musk said it himself, put on a tweet once. He said the greatest threat to humanity right now, even above AI, artificial intelligence, is what? Depopulation.
Yeah, it's a personal choice, and that I'm not advocating for like a law that says that you if you're married you have to have X number of kids.
But then why are you opposed to two gay people doing that?
Well, because again, it's not about choice. It's about what this institution, marriage is an institution, and what is it, and what purpose does it serve? And I do not agree with tearing down or changing this definition, especially because the people who have changed the definition haven't come up with a new one. So they say, well, that's not what marriage is. So for thousands of years, we said marriage is the procreative union. And then we had the other side who came along and said, well, it's not that. Okay, well then, like, what is it exactly? And I know you said, well, it's people who love each other. Two people love each other. Well, but then why two people? Why do they have to love each other? All these kinds of questions. You get into what if they're in the same family? What if brothers and sisters want to marry? And I know every time that comes up, the advocates for gay marriage will say, well, that's a slippery slope argument. That's a fallacious. But it's actually not. It's like we're trying to get to what do you even think this institution is now, since you've rejected out what we were saying it was. And I've never found a compelling definition. And any definition offered, it's like, well, what's even the point then? Why do we even need this now?
I just don't see how a gay marriage in any way damages a straight marriage. I don't see it at all.
Look, with regards to all the gay stuff, I mean, to break that down on an academic level, that's out of my wheelhouse. All right, maybe that's someone more appropriate for somebody like Daniel Haqiqatju, our brother Daniel Haqiqatju. Actually, shout out to you, Akhi Daniel. Maybe you should do a video reaction to this. Or our brother Muhammad Hijab. I feel like they would be more suited to doing a reaction to the gay part of this. As for me, I've only got one thing to say, bruv.
We bring in the studio this morning one of the gay rights activists, Mr. Should I call you Mr? Sure. Pepe Julian Onzima. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for
Good
having
morning.
me. Morning to you.
Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay.